Welcome to Bleach Revisited. I am Karker Gold, your host of this series in which we will be reading every single chapter of the Bleach manga, providing critical analysis of the art and narrative as well as personal response to each of these chapters. We'll also be discussing how the chapter connects to the rest of the series as a whole. As usual, we begin these videos with a reading of the chapter that we are currently discussing for the episode. This is Chapter 119, Secret of the Moon. Bleach, Chapter 119, Secret of the Moon. They got away, eh? Hey! Byakuya! Where are you going? What about these guys? Aren't you going to deal with them? I've lost interest. Do what you want with them. He's a moody one. Miss Rukia! She's been concentrating the whole time Byakuya was here. I don't blame her. Very well. Time to call them. Hey! Senyaro! Kitone! Come on out! Yes, Captain! Senyaro Kotsubaki, the 13th Company, 3rd seat, 1st. And Kitone Kotetsu, the 13th Company, 3rd seat, 2nd. New enemies? You two followed me then. How long have you been here? Ever since you said, "Phew, it's dangerous around here, sir!" From the beginning, eh? Didn't I tell you not to come because it was dangerous? Sorry, sir! My undying respect for you would not allow me to sit by idly, sir! Hey, no fair, Senyaro. That goes for me too, sir. I love you. I respect you more than he does, sir. What? No way. I respect the captain more. You want a piece of me, booger girl? Serve it up! Anyway, Kitone, you contact 4th Company. Someone's critically wounded. Have them send an advanced rescue unit immediately. What? Senyaro, put Miss Kuchiki back in her cell. Yes, sir! Move, kid! No! I won't let you put Miss Rukia back there! I said move, you little booger! You think I like doing this? Ah! Sorry, Miss Kuchiki. Katakukutake and I will have a word with the higher-ups and get you out of here. Just hang on until then, okay? Hey, no fair, Senyaro. I'm more worried about Miss Kuchiki than you are. Miss Kuchiki! Katakukutake and I will get you out of there. Huh? Stop copying me! You want a piece of this, copycat? You're the copycat. Just hurry and get the 4th Company. Shut up! I was going to. You're probably wondering why I'm letting you live. Yes. Why wouldn't I? We don't know who killed Aizen, and you outsiders may have information about his murder. I can't kill you until that's investigated. But more importantly, what you did may have been questionable, but you were trying to save one of my subordinates. I won't stand by and watch you get killed. No, sir! We couldn't find anyone over there, sir! Alright, good. Go check Higashi Nijo. Higashi Nijo is the name of a street. These Ryoka are cunning. Don't let them slip past you. Every nook and cranny. Yes, sir! Thanks for the update. Hold on. I don't remember seeing you two before. Are you new? Yes, sir. I'm Inoue, and this is my first term of service. Reporting for duty, sir. I'm Ishida. Reporting for duty, sir. Uh, Not bad. How about coming over to my place tonight? Excuse me? You know who I am, don't you? I'm Toshimori Umisada. I've been selected as one of the 15 20th seat officers in the Ninth Company this year. I hate to blow my own horn, but I'm the most successful guy from my class. You won't be sorry. Hey, what's the idea? With the Ryoka on the loose in the Seirete, and a special wartime exemption issued, a man of your position doesn't have time for entertaining, does he? What's that? Are you lecturing me, boy? Sir, there's nobody here. What are your orders? Huh? Blast! I'll remember this. Once this is settled, I'll make you pay. Okay by me. As soon as this mess is settled, I'll be long gone. Thanks, are you? That's okay. I just don't like men like that. This plan is working great. I know it was my idea, but I never thought it would go this smoothly. I'm pretty clever. Yes, you are. What? Steal their uniforms? Shh! Keep your voice down. Not steal, borrow. What's the difference? We more or less look like the Soul Reapers, except for our clothes. If we dress like them, we can move around unnoticed. Yeah, but shh! Here they come. On 3, okay? 1, 2, 3! Ah! Ah! All right. I'm sorry. We just need to borrow them. You surprised me. You knocked them out so fast. I didn't know you were that strong. Really? Tatsuki taught me a little karate. She said I was pretty good too. She said I could easily make first Dan. Dan is a leveler grade. Whoa. I'd better remember never to fight her. Okay, let's change! Orihime! What are you... Wait! Huh? Yeah, sorry. They're right. A boy and a girl shouldn't change in the same room. I thought I was a Tatsuki for a second. Here you go! Uryu's fitting room. Comfy, spacious, embarrassment-free. Go ahead, Uryu. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Okay. We found out the location of the Senseiku from those people earlier. The others must be on their way there now. Ichigo is probably there already. We better hurry then, before Ichigo has time to screw everything up. We have to get there and prevent that. Right. Which company should we belong to? We have to be ready to answer right away if anyone asks us. Yeah, I guess so. Whew. That's the cost of being out of action for 100 years. A couple of hundred of shunpo and I'm out of breath. I must be getting old. Wake up, Ichigo. You've got to get even stronger. And when you wake, we'll talk about the real secret power of the Zangetsu you hold. August 8th, cloudy. When I was walking around town today, I happened to see the guy I like. His name is Keigo Asano. He always has a little smile even when he's alone. He's so hot. Is he shopping with his friend Mizuhiro today? That is it for Bleach Chapter 119. The chapter title, which I unfortunately forget, did not commit that one to memory. I'm just going to have to go back to the beginning. Secret of the Moon. It was so obvious. It was the Secret of the Moon. Secret of the Moon. So yeah, first foremost, as you can tell, the kind of black and white is a little bit more gradient, which is usually the first tell that this is actually a color page inside of the Shonen Jump weekly publication. However, there's no color in the tankobon or the collected volumes, the trades, whatever you want to call them. Basically, the volume format doesn't have color because it's cheaper to print that way, basically. Um, I mean, it's yeah. Anyway, there does not exist a full color version of Bleach that has been printed. There is a digital only Japanese version of Bleach that was done by Shueisha, where they added color after the fact to the series. Um, Shueisha does this with a couple of the different comics with Shonen Jump, so on and so forth. But like the Shueisha digital color version, I have no way to get access to that, and I hold that like I prefer the black and white version. Now, for pages like this that were intended to be in color, that were in the original magazine in color, yes, I think that color is important, and I do plan on doing a couple of like special episodes, and I'll try to include at the end of this episode actually, if I can edit it in time or whatnot. Um, but I will try to get the color pages for this. The problem is that a lot of the color pages people have available are from the Shueisha color, and I don't know if that aligns with the coloration, because I don't think it's the same as the coloration that we actually got in the actual published Shonen Jump, like weekly manga. So, like, the actual color of what this page is supposed to be, the best you could get is from scangulation groups at the time, the people that actually scanned Weekly Shonen Jump and then fan translated it, things like that. So yeah, color things. Because all of my, everything that I'm reading here is the official Viz publication. It is all going to be black and white, even the moments that were originally printed in color. So something to keep in mind. But typically, whenever you can see more of a gradient to the blacks and whites, that's usually like kind of tell that this has been copied from color and rendered in black and white, in grayscale, which it's unfortunate. Like I said, I've been kind of conceptualizing because I didn't do this from the beginning, and I wish I had done this, but I was having trouble finding a version, and I kind of still am. But I do want to eventually have these color pages, and so the idea of having them maybe at the end of the video, if I'm able to find them. Alternatively, that's kind of what my special series is for. I was thinking about doing like, just a series where once I finish the arc, or once I finish sections of the arc, I could just essentially be like, okay, well, here is, these chapters, the color pages from those, right? So yeah, I've played around with that idea. Anyway, let's talk about the chapter itself, not just color issues. So this chapter is Secret of the Moon. Now, as far as what that is referring to, I believe it is most accurately kind of referencing the fact that Yurichi at the end of this chapter says there's even like a true power for Zangetsu, or a greater power that Ichigo could bring out. And as you know, Zangetsu is essentially Moon Cutter, is the literal translation, more or less. But typically, Ichigo is actually aligned. Interestingly enough, he's typically aligned as the sun, like as the black sun, and Ruki as the white moon, which is interesting. So this might be perhaps reference to that. Uh, there's like a lot of like sun imagery that's tied to Ichigo, but also there's a whole mythological deal with, I think, Quetzalcoatl. So to get at the heart of the whole black sun, white moon thing, the imagery with Bleach and Ichigo and Rukia, the idea is that there's like throughout the manga, there's a lot of stuff that evokes different mythologies and folklore, things like that. And one of the things that gets evoked with Ichigo is this story that's been in a lot of folklore. There's it's pretty typical. The story of like someone going into the underworld to rescue like a woman, basically. This is, like Orpheus and Eurydice, that sort of whole story. But I think Bleach's story specifically uh, tends to kind of align Ichigo with, and I believe it's Quetzalcoatl, but I could be wrong. But basically, there's a Mesopotamian like deity of the sun that Ichigo gets aligned with, that within the mythology, like went into the underworld to save the moon, or some representation of it, some mythological lady. I don't know. Um, I'm not brushed up on that aspect of it, but I do know that I am vaguely familiar. Uh, so nevertheless, that sort of imagery gets used. You can also draw a connection to um, there's some like Buddhist or Shinto or Japanese Buddhist creation myths that also deal with what is it? Not necessarily Amaterasu, which is typically the goddess of the sun, um, but with oh boy, uh, Inazuma and Izanagi, and those kind of progenitor gods, and essentially, basically God and his wife, and she ends up ending up in the underworld, and he goes to go and bring her back, and then he ultimately can't. Um, yeah, I think the Mesoamerican one, Mesopotamian American one, whatever. The that one is a little bit more what this is drawing from. So perhaps this could be referencing Rukia or some sort of secret around that. The conspiracy certainly is a secretive thing, but with Zangetsu being kind of, Zangetsu evoking the moon itself, or cutting the moon, or slicing, having a slice of the moon. Um, the idea is that this is essentially uh, maybe referencing Zangetsu itself and some secret behind Zangetsu. There you go. Much to do about nothing. I don't know. Actually, if you do know a little bit more of those mythologies, especially the whole moon thing and how that might relate to Rukia, as well as like the Black Sun thing, is pretty common with Ichigo. It's weird. It comes up more than you expect. Please do let me know, because it's a topic that I am aware of, but I'm not very well versed on. So yeah, you could probably find more about that online. Of course, this would have been a color chapter cover, but I like, our main four squad in their casual clothes. You know, are you looking pretty dapper? Ichigo looking cool and kind of punk. And then you usually can tell that there was actually a series of color pages in the actual manga, because you'll get this all black divider page. That's very typical of like, okay, well, here's the regular pages, and then we're just back to like the full on inks that we're used to. I like that, Byakuya, like, he immediately leaves because he feels like, well, the shock of Yurichi, I think, is ultimately what's going to send him away, right? Like his whole, like, oh, I've lost interest and all this. He had also made this whole thing about not seeing Rukia until the execution and all this other stuff. But I mean, Byakuya got kind of outplayed right here. Maybe he's feeling a bit ashamed. We don't really get to see his expression. But, understandably, perhaps frustrated or humiliated even. But he also knows that Ukitake can handle this situation, right? Ruki immediately collapses, and I do like, Yukitake's expressions here. I think kind of help to convey that he is perhaps a little bit more down to earth, understandable, relatable, even. Um, and we get kind of from his perspective for the rest of this chapter. He calls Senyaro and Kitone, who are both his shared third seats. And we learn in this chapter that multiple people can be in the same seat. This happens multiple times in this chapter. So a seat can have multiple people. I don't know if it's like necessarily like, okay, well, third seat's got 2 people, then fourth seat's got 3. I think it's more like, well, if you qualify, you occupy this seat, and typically it's harder and harder to qualify up the ranks, right? But yes, Kiyone Kotetsu and Sentaro Kotsubaki. Now, I don't. I'm trying to remember if there's like another character's been mentioned. But hold on to Kotetsu because there is another character with Kotetsu as a last name. I don't know about Kotsubaki off of the grip, but Kotetsu will be something to keep in mind. But yeah, I like that. We typically we don't always get a character's full name, but we do get full names for these characters. We get an actual introduction, and it's kind of cute. I always thought it was neat that Sentaro and Kitone were essentially like, I don't know, 2 different characters that more or less seem to serve as vice captain. Yeah, I don't think we've gotten a vice captain of the 13th presented to us yet either. So there's that. But we get this kind of whole gag scene where Sentaro is very sort of ass kissing, and Kitone really wants to as well. They're both like 2 sides of the same coin kind of character. This makes them butt heads. I do like that Ukitake calls for somebody from the 4th whenever Hanataro is right there. Like, come on, man. But I think the idea is that Hanataro is going to be detained, right? That said, I like that he like tries to stand in Sentaro's way to immediately get shouted down, and it's made clear, like, well, yeah, they don't really want this to be the case either, and that Yukitake is going to do all he can to kind of help Rukia out, right? So it's kind of interesting. We get, in the grand scheme of who sides with, society versus themselves, we get this other glimpse at how somebody can be a member of society but be like still like an objector to the ills perpetuated within a society, and can like work within it to kind of right these wrongs. And Ukitake certainly represents that. That he's certainly an agent of the society, but he's more willing to kind of voice and express his concerns and misgivings, and go through the appropriate channels to see change implemented, which is kind of neat. I'm glad that like that's one of the other kind of perspectives that we get, right? It adds a little bit of nuance to what is truly a kind of nuanced relationship that people have to society, and broadens the themes, makes the themes a little bit more kind of explored rather than being all black and white. This is certainly one way to interpret it. Of course, I like that he expresses the way that he kind of thinks, he feels. He's trying to kind of parse and figure out who killed Aizen. He wants to figure out this information about the murder. He's putting all these different things first. He's clearly like a thinking kind of person, but then also ultimately, he says, "Hey, look, you're trying to save one of my subordinates," and here we get confirmation that yes, Rukia is 13th Division. She served under Yukitake. Again, as I had mentioned in the other episode, the keen-eyed among you would have noticed that Ukitake was in fact the character that she had a flashback talking to way back in the Grand Fisher arc. So, pretty cool. Finally, we cut back to Uryu and Orihime, and we're catching up with them, right? We've got some, I think, Ninth Company guys that are in search of the Ryoka. And I like how he's talking about how cunning they are, and immediately they show up dressed as Shinigami. Dead giveaway should be the fact that they don't have a Zanpakuto at all, or an Asuichi even. But hey, this guy isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He tries to impress himself upon Orihime, to which Uryu interjects. We get like their little back and forth. I think Uryu's sticking out his tongue here. We get a little bit more personality interaction between Uryu and Orihime, and I think this is a pretty good chapter for that. I do like Orihime with her hair done like this way. Uryu hasn't done anything to kind of change his look, whereas Orihime is at least like putting forth a little bit of effort here. I like, we cut the flashback here. That's why we get the black background as we are going into the past for this moment of stolen uniforms, as they happen to knock out some Shinigami, or at least tie them up, and then steal these uniforms. To which we learn that Orihime actually can like smack someone around. That she could make first stand, and then of course we have Orihime just immediately going to change without even thinking about like the fact that she's in front of Uryu. Of course, again, kind of mirroring how we had Yorichi change, and Ichigo is a huge prude about it. Similarly, we get the same thing with Uryu. I love the gag that she creates a little cutesy fitting room for him. It's good stuff. And then, of course, we have Orihime thinking about Ichigo, probably like voting her confidence for him, or maybe recognizing the sort of relationship that they have, or at least the fondness that she has for Ichigo. And then, I do like that line from Uryu. I like the kind of I like the expressions here. I think they do a lot. There's like a lot of like little back and forth between Orihime and Uryu that I appreciate. That like there's a little bit of nuance, and I think certainly people have read this as like them having a bit of chemistry, like romantically perhaps even. I don't know so much about that. I think it's just like they're coming to understand each other a little bit better, and that's kind of cool. But I do love this line where he's like, "Oh yeah, let's go before Ichigo screws things up." Like Uryu has this sort of like, that scamp Ichigo, you know. I think they start talking about like, oh, we had to figure out our company so that we don't, break our cover. And Mayuri Karatsuchi has been blending into the background as he chitters like this paint off of him, almost this camouflage. And we know that our protagonists have been sighted by this madman-looking fella. To kind of close out our chapter, we do come to Ichigo bleeding down the floor, but also Yorichi's expressing, she's after doing like 100 different little flash steps, after really quickly zooming over here, she's a little booked. Say that she's getting old, right? Like it matters that much for Soul Reaper. But ultimately, the point is that this comes to a conclusion with her expressing that there is a secret power that Zangetsu holds, right? So we will find what that secret power is, and certainly Yorichi boasted that she'd be able to make Ichigo stronger than Byakuya within 3 days, and perhaps that secret power is what is tied to that, almost certainly, right? I wonder exactly where they are, because I placed them at perhaps being at one of those underground tunnels, but maybe not. Maybe they're just in like an alley or something. But it's pretty nondescript. Whenever people say Bleach has no backgrounds, that's the sort of thing that they mean. I'm totally fine with it, by the by. But yeah, that's about it for this chapter. Like, I'm not gonna say there's not a lot going on. I mean, we get sort of conclusion and outward momentum for the situations that we more or less had resolved last chapter. We get a little bit of a lead into what we'll be talking about next chapter with, Zangetsu's got this hidden power. What could that be? How is Ichigo gonna unlock this power? So on and so forth. But then, we also get a little bit more of Ukitake and a little bit more of Orihime and Uryu situation. I think this chapter mostly shines for their interactions, which I kind of glossed, but there's a bit there. Um, I think it's cute. It's nothing massive, but it is nice just to spend a few moments with those characters and not have them, constantly have to be like performing, or like in a battle or anything like that, right? So I like whenever a manga can give the characters a little bit of time just to breathe and exist as characters in the same space as each other for whatever reason. It's good times. But yeah, we get a little bit of that. We get a little bit of all of that, and we get, of course, more lead in for what we will have to follow, which is that Mayuri Kuretsuchi is on the tail of both Uryu and Orihime. And so perhaps that will be the captain that gives them problems. As we've already had the rest of our crew encounter captains, numerous captains now. So, something to look forward to. Let me get back to the beginning here, and I can talk about spoilers, connections to the rest of the manga. Let's go. So yeah, talking about spoilers, Secret of the Moon, probably referring to Bankai. As far as Rukia having any secrets at this point, I mean the whole Kaien thing, perhaps, but it's Bankai. Let's be real. Bankai. Uh, yeah. I think that Ugatake having both Centauro and Kione might be a slight nod to the fact that he has two swords. I don't think we've seen Ugatake's Zenpakuto, Zenpokdo, Zenpukido. We haven't really seen those depicted yet. Like even the hilts, even the them sheathed. Um, I like the kind of fierce loyalty that he gets being a good dude. It's good stuff. Um, Otherwise, I did mention Kione Kotetsu. Of course, she is the younger sibling of Isane Kotetsu, who is the vice captain of the second division, and then eventually becomes captain of the, or not second, what am I saying, fourth of the fourth division, right? Isane Kotetsu, who was pictured but had a whole voice bubble over her head, I believe, whenever they were in the barracks taking care of, or looking at Aizen's corpse, I think. I could be wrong, but I believe that was the case. So yeah, Isane and Kione are related, and I do believe that Kione goes on to be, I think she ends up being vice captain for, um, whatchamacallit, for her sister, for Isane, but I could be wrong. Um, I do think that we get a little bit of follow up for both of these characters in the 2 years after, though, which is neat. Like, not what I would expect, because Kione and Sentaro kind of do take a back seat. You don't get a lot from them. They are all always sort of paired as like a little couple of characters, which is interesting. Kind of like Umenchika and Ikaku typically are kind of like a pair, but they at least get their individual sort of battles. Um, yeah, this whole thing about like standing by and watching you get killed, I think maybe represents a difference in where Ukitake is here versus kind of maybe in the past. Certainly, I think the idea is that he might have had something to do with Ginjo and being a substitute Shinigami and all of that. Although I think the novels end up retconning that. Um, but certainly with everything with Kaien, I think Ukitake is very mindful of how you can prevent unnecessary loss of life nowadays. So it's nice to see that. Um, Otherwise, I don't think this fella comes up ever again. As far as like, this is kind of neat. The idea of like dressing up like the enemy and kind of going undercover, and using that to infiltrate things. This is an idea that Uryu would revisit in the Thousand Year Blood War, right? He even gets his a shrift and everything. So kind of neat that this does sort of happen, but on a bigger scale. Um, and we're kind of left in the dark in it. We're not totally aware that like he hasn't turned traitor, but it is neat that this comes up here and this is a sort of structure that is used. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, yeah, Mayuri's certainly having camouflage technology, and I like that his is like these like him kind of like almost chittering out of the paint. It's kind of wild, or like forming out of the wall. Like so maybe he was even fused with the reishi of it. It's certainly different from the sort of the keto cloak or whatever it is that Urahara has. Um, so it's interesting how this sort of camouflaging differs from what we would come to see later in the series, technically earlier in the series. Turn back the pendulum. Anyway, yeah, yeah, that's about all. Don't have a lot else to say on this chapter. Pretty faded day, so I might not have the insights I typically do. I will say, getting to see beautiful Keigo from an outsider's perspective is hilarious. It's a good gag. Anyway, that's it for this one, folks. I'll try to include the color pages here if I'm able to get them set for the time this video goes out. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Go ahead and give the video a like if you managed to get this far. And if you'd like to support me in a different way, if you'd like to support the channel, you can always mosey on over to our Patreon. It is in the episode description. And there, if you support for any amount, your name will be featured here at the end of the episode. And I'll give you a shout out like this, like, hey man, thanks. Thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, this one's been a Bleach Revisited, and I've been a Karakura Gold, reminding you that spirits are forever with you. Stay gold.